I've witnessed rallies, press conferences, State of the Unions. Nothing came close to matching the energy, the electrifying energy at day one of the Democratic National Convention here in Chicago. So without further delay, here are the most memorable moments from day one from an all-star cast of speakers, including AOC, Hillary Clinton, Jamie Raskin, Jasmine Crockett, and Raphael Warnock.
To love this country is to fight for its people. All people, working people, everyday Americans like bartenders and factory workers and fast food cashiers who punch a clock and are on their feet all day in some of the toughest jobs out there. Ever since I got elected, Republicans have attacked me by saying that I should go back to bartending. But let me tell you, I'm happy to any day of the week because there is nothing wrong with working for a living. Because we know that Donald Trump would sell this country for $1 if it meant lining his own pockets and greasing the palms of his Wall Street friends. And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots of greed, trampling on our way of life.
So it is no surprise, is it, that he is lying about Kamala's record? He's mocking her name and her laugh. Sounds familiar. But we have him on the run now. First, though, let's salute President Biden. He has been democracy's champion at home and abroad. He brought dignity, decency, and competence back to the White House. And he showed what it means to be a true patriot. Thank you, Joe Biden, for your lifetime of service and leadership.
J.D. Vance, do you understand why there was a sudden job opening for running mate on the GOP ticket? They tried to kill your predecessor.
America, looking at the two choices before you, who would you hire? Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris has a resume. Donald Trump has a rap sheet. She presides over the Senate while he keeps our national secrets next to his thinking chair. Y'all know what I said that other time. In Mar-a-Lago. She's the only candidate in this race who is capable of empathy. When I first got to Congress, I wasn't sure I made the right decision. The Chaos Caucus couldn't elect a speaker, and the Oversight Committee was unhinged. I was going through all of this when I visited the Vice President's residence for the first time. As I approached Vice President Harris for our official photo, she turned to me and asked, "What's wrong?" Mind you, we'd never met, but she saw right through me. She saw the distress. I immediately began crying. It's so hard for me to tell this story. She then said, among other things, "You are exactly where God wants you. Your district chose you because they believe in you, and so do I.
The day after my January 5th election, he instigated an insurrection, a violent assault on our nation's capital and the peaceful transfer of power, all driven by the big lie. But behind the big lie was an even bigger lie. It is the lie that this increasingly diverse American electorate does not get to determine the future of the country. The lie and the logic of January 6th is a sickness. It is a kind of cancer that then metastasized into dozens of voter suppression laws all across our country. And we must be vigilant tonight because these anti-democratic forces are at work right now in Georgia and all across our country. And the question is, who will heal the land? America, make no mistake, Donald Trump is a plague on the American conscience. He is a clear and present threat to the precious covenant we share with one another. And yes, I saw him holding the Bible and endorsing a Bible as if it needed his endorsement. He should try reading it.
And of course, the 46th President of the United States and the man responsible for what we're seeing tonight, Joe Biden.
Thank you. Donald Trump calls America a failing nation. No, I'm serious. But think about this. Think about this. He publicly says to the whole world, I'm going to say something outrageous. I know more foreign leaders by their first names and know them well than anybody alive. Just because I'm so damn old. And America, I love you. Folks, let me ask you. Let me ask you. Are you ready to vote for freedom? Are you ready to vote for democracy and for America? Let me ask you, are you ready to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, President and Vice President of the United States?
There were two sentiments that pervaded day one of the convention. The first, a sense of overwhelming hope and optimism and promise for the future. And that stands in stark contrast to the negativity and cynicism and doom and gloom of the Trump campaign and even the RNC. Remember, Donald Trump's job is to keep you good and scared, too scared to even step foot out of your house, because that's how he wins. He is a demagogue, and demagogues don't sell hope. They don't sell optimism. They don't sell any vision for the future. They sell a vision for the past. The guy's campaign slogan is "Make America Great Again." It inherently looks backward. And while that may have been potent enough to win in 2016, it's not working in 2024. And that's reflected in the polling, in the donations, in the volunteers, in the endorsements and engagement and registration numbers. It has been 16 years since we've seen a campaign that inspired hope, a campaign that Republicans could not beat, and they're getting a crash course right now reminding them why that kind of campaign is so potent. But the second sentiment pervading this convention is a sense of gratitude for Joe Biden. The fact that we are able to have a campaign and a convention so steeped in optimism and hope is precisely because the most powerful person in the world voluntarily ceded power for the good of democracy. And if you had any doubt about just how difficult that is, just remember that Donald Trump incited an insurrection expressly to hold on to that power. Joe Biden recognized that he was a weaker candidate, and so he put country over personal ambition, country over the power that he already had, and in doing so, teed up Kamala Harris to do what she does best. Be the prosecutor running against the felon. Be the reproductive rights champion running against the reproductive rights opponent. Be the candidate who will combat climate change and bolster unions and protect kids in schools and expand healthcare and lower prices, running against the guy who will only look out for himself and his rich donors, which is exactly what he did in his first and only term in office. All thanks to the selflessness of a man who recognizes the virtues of protecting this democracy in a party that recognizes the virtues of protecting this democracy. So overall, a massively successful day one at the Democratic National Convention here in Chicago, and an amazing starting point to this sprint to the finish line as we usher in a new generation of leadership in the United States of America, and finally relegate Trump and Trumpism to the dustbin of history. I've got a really exciting announcement. I've written a book. It's called Shameless. This book explores how Republicans have exploited their historical branding while attacking our democracy, how the media has proven itself a willful participant, and how Democrats can learn from this to rebalance the political scales and save our democracy. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to write my own book, and so I'd like to ask you to pre-order it by clicking the link right here on the screen. And if you buy within this pre-order period, your book is going to come with a signed nameplate. As you know, I've never had a single sponsor on my channel. I don't ask for money or anything like that, but if you're looking for a way to support me, this is hands down the best way to do it. So again, follow the link right here on the screen, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for pre-ordering Shameless. And as always, make sure to subscribe to see more of my content.